The voices of women are growing day by day, month by month, year by year. Women converse, they rant, they lament on how they see themselves in marriages where their voices do not matter. But this raises a question. Why do some women end up in abusive marriages? Is it simply because of love or it is beyond love? Welcome to another episode of the Speak With Her podcast. My name is Ola Oshibiko Miriam. You can call me Mira the Talker, and I am excited to be the host on today's episode titled Why Some Women End Up in Abusive Marriages. Is this your first time tuning in? This is a space where we invite women from diverse fields and professions to inspire, empower, and educate the next generation, especially young girls who aspire to make a difference in today's world. Joining me as always are my amazing co-hosts.
Hello everyone, my name is Olemi Oluwafe-Ishayo. I feel so good to be here.
Okay, you're welcome, ma'am. And in the studio today, we have an exceptional guest speaker, a problem solver, because she's here to solve the common problems we find in our marriages. She's a relationship clarity strategist, and she's here to share her insights on why some women end up in abusive marriages. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming Mrs. Georgine Imoh-Ita. It's a pleasure to have you here with us, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Mariam. Thank you, Onayemi. I'm glad to be here.
We are expecting to learn from you as well. So, ma'am, I would want you to introduce yourself for the purpose of our audience that are seeing you for the first time.
Okay, thank you so much for that. My name is Georgine Imoh-Ita. I'm a relationship clarity strategist, a certified family life systems engineer, a certified relationship and marriage coach. I particularly work with singles, giving them clarity around their relationship choices, in their partner choices, in understanding themselves more towards having a wholesome relationship. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for that introduction. So we know that in today's marriage, there are different talks, especially on abusive marriages. Why do such things happen? And this brings the question. We talk about green flags, red flags. Some young women cannot distinguish between the two. But what are the green flags a woman should confidently look for before entering marriage, and what are the red flags she absolutely must overlook? Because sometimes we would say that love is blind and we overlook a lot of things. We overlook a lot of things. Love is blind, but do that love actually request not to look at this particular flag, look at the other one? So I want you to expatiate on this more. So the audiences, the young girls that are just coming, and the young women that wants to enter into this type of marriage can learn more as well from this.
Okay, thank you so much. Once again, I want to thank you for giving me this platform to also share my knowledge. And I want to commend you too for the choice of topic, because this is something that many platforms more or less shy away from because they don't want to get into that dynamics of the man, woman, gender matters. So for you to, bring it up, it's important, in as much as it's actually sometimes can be uncomfortable because it's really a heavy topic to speak about. But the thing is, when things are uncomfortable, doesn't mean you should abandon them. That's the time we should actually push through, because that is when you're able to get that liberation and that clarity that you need. So I'm particularly interested in this, and I thank you again. So now back to your question about green flags and red flags. So green flags, because I know that on the social media space, we all talk about red flags, red flags. Sometimes we don't even know what it means, but everybody knows red flags, and nobody really stops to think about what green flags are. So green flags basically are those things, actions that someone does that makes you feel safe, that makes you seen, makes you soothed, and makes you heard, right? And then when it comes to green flags, I'm going to list a couple. Now, since this program is for women, I'm going to be listing it in the sense of what a woman should look out for in a man. Is that okay? So the first thing is more or less, look for a man who listens to you without interrupting. The person listens to your point of view before they respond. Because many times we have not really learned how to listen. We listen to react, not to understand. We listen just to give our input without trying to understand where is this person's perspective coming from. So if you can have a man who can listen to you, hear your point of view to understand, that is great. Another green flag is someone, when you find a man who supports your path in life. We all came on earth with gifts that we want to exhibit, that we want to fulfill, that we want to showcase. And if you can get a man or find a man who supports you, and even if along the line you're doing something that's not quite right, or you're having some mistakes, the person can correct you with love. They correct you with constructive criticism, not belittling you. A third one is where the person validates your feelings. We all have feelings. Sometimes we're worried about something. When we tell someone else, we're not expecting the person to, shout at us or talk us down or call us stupid for having the feelings. We're looking for someone who can say, okay, I can see where that could have come from. I can understand that kind of feeling. They don't dismiss you. And you might think it's a little thing, but it's a big deal to have somebody listen to what you have to say, patiently validates it, and maybe work together towards a solution, or even just giving you that listening ear. Because us ladies, sometimes we just like to talk. We don't necessarily even want you to solve it. Just even listen. And that alone makes us feel seen and heard. Another is them remembering little things that you told them in the past. Maybe you mentioned something 2 weeks ago you wanted to do, and they remember to remind you, and like that thing you wanted to do, how far with it? That is a green flag, because life is so busy. So for someone to even remember something that you told them is a big deal. Then, of course, someone who apologizes quickly when they are wrong. There are many people, when they are wrong, they do not want to apologize. They are all defensive. They are the ones that they are right. But if the person can apologize quickly, that's a green flag. And of course, someone who loves you the way you receive love. Not all of us love the same way. How a man loves and how you love, not as gender, as an individual, are different. So if you have somebody who loves you the way you understand love, that is a green flag. And then, of course, talking about being able to repair relationships quickly, because every couple will have conflicts. Every couple will have disagreements. But the ability to repair quickly, according to John Gottman, he's a therapist in the field of relationship and marriages. Couples who repair faster are those who will have longer lasting relationships, because they've not allowed it to fester. They've not allowed it to go out of maybe get out of hand. And of course, another green flag is someone who forgives quickly. There are times that they tell you, I've forgiven you, but 3 days after, they now remind you, that is how you did 3 days ago. That is how you did. That is not it. Once somebody has been able to forgive you and they don't bring it up, that's a green flag. So we're going to dive into the red flags. Now, red flags are the things that you should not look away, you should not excuse, because these are directly impacting on your self-worth as a human being, impacting on how you show up as a woman. And one of those red flags is where somebody belittles you, they dismiss you. You're trying to talk to them and they don't want to hear it. They speak down on you, they just make you feel so unimportant. It's not going to change, because that is how they best know how to speak or how to communicate. So it's a big red flag, because that's how it's going to continue. And I've not heard of anybody being able to thrive in such an environment. A second one is physical violence of any kind, of any intensity, of any form. We're not meant to be beating ourselves up as adults. It's a no-no. Another is where your partner shouts down at you, like you're a child who misbehaves, a misbehaving child. How? We're supposed to be a partner in this thing. Even if I'm not able to understand your perspective, maybe you're a little more advanced in intelligence, there are still better ways in how you can get my attention or, teach me. Another, of course, is where they give you the silent treatment as punishment. They just decide to shut down, or they might even block you. They won't pick your calls. It's until they're good and ready, they'll now come around again and expect you to fall back in line. That is a red flag, because no marriage can thrive without effective communication. You will not know where the marriage is going, right? Another is where they're consistently raising their voices. Anytime it's time to discuss something a little important, or you're trying to get to a common ground, or trying to air a vision, they're endlessly shouting. They don't even want to hear it. They just dismiss it as if it's not important. Another red flag is where you're walking on eggshells around your partner. You're unable to be free. You can't really express yourself. You don't know what you're going to say that will throw him off the handle. You don't know what you're going to say that's going to make him all upset and angry. Another red flag is where they isolate you from your friends and your family. They begin to tell you how your family don't mean well for you, how that friend is not good for you, how that friend, the way he's seeing that friend is like that friend does not have your best interest at heart. They tell you that nobody can love you the way they love you. Once they start to isolate you and you don't have any support system, they can now do with you whatever they want. That is a red flag. And of course, you have those that consistently monitor you, your movement, who you're talking to. They're ready to do video call. They want to control you, all because they say they're trying to protect you. Protect you from what exactly, we're not sure. And if the man happens to be the one who's financially buoyant, or he even helps you financially, when he's upset with you, he now decides to withdraw the finances, and until you become a good girl, he can now start releasing money to you again. And also, when you hear someone consistently blaming you for their behavior, they get upset with you, they now tell you, see what you made me do, see what you made me do. Those are red flags. But before I end this question, I'd like you to also know that there's something called pink flags, because when you hear green flags here, red flags here, you might decide that, oh, it's either I stay or either I go. Pink flags are those that are in between. It's not a red flag, but it's worth you having a conversation around it. So it's not that intense to make it a red flag, but at the same time, it's also not a green flag. So example for a pink flag would be someone who doesn't communicate the way you want. Maybe how you interact. He's not forthcoming. He's not able to express himself in full sentences for you to really get what he means. He doesn't know how to put the words together. He doesn't know how to emotionally. So you can discuss with him and say, okay, I've noticed that every time I want to talk about these issues, you seem to struggle with how to express yourself. Anyhow you put it, things that you can work with. It's something that, especially if he's willing, he's like, okay, I never really used to know how to express these things. Okay, teach me. How do you want me to say it for you to understand? At least he's showing some level of wanting to change. Or if somebody has a little jealousy about you, not the controlling type, not the type that shouts down the roof, scrolls your phone and all of that, but even showing a little expression of, you left me yesterday, I really felt somehow, I felt maybe, have you gone to see somebody else? You know that those ones are mild. You can start from there to see how you can convince the person to understand that, no, I am for you. And if the person doesn't keep bringing it up, and a conversation or two conversations are able to solve that, you can say, okay, we can probably push through that. Or maybe the person is hesitant to discuss long-term relationship. Maybe you're trying to talk about life, family, his vision for the future, and he's just giving you little bits and parts, not really coming all out. It's not an immediate thing to say, oh, it's a red flag. It would look more like a red flag if the person shuts you down totally. They don't want to discuss the future. Don't know what they're talking about. Future is too far. Please, let's enjoy the moment. That would be cause for concern. But if they're even trying and even giving you some kind of responses that make you see that maybe this person is not fully mature and developed and ready for this, then you can say, okay, let me be around and discuss more and see how this goes. And there's some people who too are not able to be very emotionally expressive. They are not able to express themselves much emotionally, so they are a bit half and half. That's like a pink flag. You keep talking to them and see how far it goes. So this is more or less saying that red flags are actually patterns that escalate and put your safety at risk, right? But they don't get better with time. They actually get worse. But with pink flags, these are areas that if you can have genuine conversations around them, it can actually improve. You can actually get the person moving from from pink towards green when there's awareness and effort. So the thing is that you need to now develop the skill to learn and understand, is this something I can stay? Is this something I should leave? Not when there's something you could fix, you now decide to run away and say, oh, this one is red flag. Well, it's not everything that's a red flag. Some things deserve communication. So yeah, that is the response to your question. I know that was very elaborate and you allowed me to have my feel. So
thank you so much for the detailed explanation on red flags and green flags. It's actually elaborate and and it's well detailed. But the thing is, I actually found something amusing and amazing, because when you were listing the green flags a woman has to look before going into marriage, You said something about if that man is supporting you, if you see a man that is supporting, definitely the man believes in your dream. The man wants to get to know your dream. The man wants to get to know your future, that is your progress. Now,
Yeah.
sometimes it actually feels tricky. Is that
Okay.
word correct for it? Whenever you
It's
see a
okay.
man doing that, and the man wouldn't have any attractive or any mutual feelings towards the lady. And the lady would definitely be thinking that, oh, because he's supportive, definitely is the one for me. Ma, can you shed more light on that?
Okay, now, so first of all, are they in a relationship? Because you said he might not really like her. If they are just friends and he's supportive, it's in friendship too. You can also have green flags in friendship. So if they're dating, that is just one area. You're not just going to use because he's supportive. You're still going to be looking at all other things. Marriage is so deep that we can't go in with just one single leg. There are various areas that come together. So if he's supportive and yet he doesn't love you, he doesn't see a future with you, then you borrow yourself brain and say, okay, maybe this person is better as a friend and not necessarily as a lover and a future partner. We can have friends who are supportive. It's not just one area because they're supportive of your vision. They now say, we're just talking about different green flags, right? So I listed all of them so that you can have an understanding that these are things you should look out for. But that doesn't mean that because somebody has green flag, it means a marriage don't set. No, there are many other areas. This is just a segment of relationship life.
Okay, thank you so very much, Ma, for that response. I think I've gotten the clarity of the difference between friendship and being in a relationship. So my other co-host, Ms. Onayemi, will continue from here.
Okay.
Thank you, ma. Good afternoon once again,
Good
ma.
afternoon.
Thank you for the opportunity to. Thank you so much, ma. We really, really appreciate. Indeed, no one is an island of knowledge because this is the first time I'm actually hearing something called pink flags. This is actually the first time. The only thing that I know is green and red flags. Those are the only ones I know about. And so what I was able to bring out, some of what I was able to bring out of what Mrs. Jojen said is love is not enough. You have to watch out for patterns. What can you cope with this? Is it something you can work with? Or is this something that will destroy you? So love is not enough. It's not enough for you to say that, oh, I love this person, let me move on. There are a lot of factors for you to consider, as she has said. So, and my question is that I personally believe that whatever comes too easy is a scam, especially when it comes to relationships. And I have also met people who hold the same beliefs as I do. Yes. So, ma, you use diagnostic frameworks to help women make better relationship decisions. So, does the length or quality of courtship, does it actually determine how long a marriage will last? And what should a woman be intentionally doing during that season to get herself set up for a healthy marriage, to set herself up for a marriage, for a healthy marriage rather?
Okay. Thank you so much for that question. Before I go into that question, you said anything that comes easy is a scam. Well, that's actually a belief because some relationships actually come easy and it goes great. So I want you to be a little flexible on that. There are, of course, some people who come in and do abracadabra and somehow the thing scatters. But there are some that actually come in and you find yourself able to understand them. They understand you. You don't have to go through all the ups and downs of relationship before it stabilizes. It certainly happens. So just be flexible on that, okay? All right. So to your question, diagnostic reports, diagnostics, you see this diagnostic framework. Yeah. So yeah, true. I actually use diagnostic frameworks because if you want to go by feelings, they're actually quite unreliable. So when I take people, a woman or a couple through a framework, I'm more or less going beneath the surface of what they understand about themselves superficially. I mean, we all know our names, our titles. Sometimes you can even know if you're introverted and extroverted, stuff like that. But these frameworks actually go deeper to understand them better. And it's even more beautiful when you come in as a couple. So by the time I do this framework on you both, I'm able to see patterns and tendencies and blind spots that might cause issues for you in the future. So when you know it before you get married, as like a premarital stuff, they're able to dot their I's, cross their T's, and get all of that. So yeah, that's more or less how the diagnostic framework works. Now back to the length of courtship. Now, The length of courtship, I wouldn't say it matters per se, but of course, there's a specific duration. Now, let's say if somebody intentionally has a relationship between the 6 months and 12 months, and when I say intentionally, I'm talking about the kind of courtship where it's not about intimacy, that one every day for marriage. It's all about the alignment of their values, the alignment of their beliefs, alignment of their vision, them being able to speak about what they want to do as individuals, how they want to show up together as a couple, being able to work through those dynamics of like money, communication, intimacy, in-laws, all those little things that you're able to come and like marry these ideas together, because these are two people from two different worlds, two different culture. Even if you're from the same state, even if you're from in the same church, people in the same church still have issues because they have not aligned their intrinsic who they are to each other to understand that this is how we're going to move. So somebody can date somebody for 3 years and it's still not enough because they're not even having those meaningful conversations. So you might say, oh, I dated him for 5 years and by now we should be married. But what were people talking about during those 5 years? You realize that sometimes you're not even in the same city, you're not seeing often, you're not talking about stuff often, you're talking about social media, entertainment, football, maybe politics. And then when it comes to personal issues, you're not talking about, oh, what kind of food do you like? Where do you want us to live? And stuff like that. But you're not talking about the individual. What does that individual expect of you? And what do you expect of this individual? Because that is where you find out a lot of conflicts and clashes happening, because they go in there with certain expectations in their head, what marriage is supposed to be about. And the man goes in with his own expectations, what marriage is supposed to be about. And then they get in there and there's a lot of clashes because he's like, how is she not supposed to know this? And she's like, how is he not supposed to know this? Because they're coming in from a different perspective, which is being shaped in their minds from family, the books they read, the movies they watched. All of that came together to form a belief of what marriage should be for them. And they don't discuss this because it seems a bit mundane. And some people don't even want to be vulnerable enough to bring that up because many people think marriage is going to sort itself out. It works on autopilot, Anyhow, after all that, my parents did not even see a coach. They did it well. People don't understand. Were your parents' dream fulfilled, each and every one of them? Some of them worked out fine because one person was probably able to suppress his or her dream so the other person could shine. So length of time is not about the length, it's about the quality of the time in which you're doing this dating. Was it talking stage? Was it dating? Was it commitment? Was it engaged? So each of those different levels have their own different ways in which they show up. So yes, you asked them, what should she be doing? So during courtship, you need to be observing him. How does he handle conflicts? Is he the kind of person who can resolve a conflict calmly? Is he the kind of person that's going to escalate it, blow it out of proportion? Is he the kind of person that will either repeat the conflict or remind you of the conflict so that you people keep going on and on in that cycle? Another thing she should be looking out for is, how does he treat people that can do nothing for him? And in as much as this is a program for women, women too need to also assess themselves under these areas, because we can't just keep on saying it's the men, it's the men, it's the men. We too have a role to play. There are two of you in that union. It takes two to tango, and a marriage is neutral. A marriage is only as good as the two people in it. It's what you both bring into it individually towards being a couple that determines how the marriage turns out. So yeah, how does he treat people who cannot do anything for him? Like a waiter, he goes out, he's asking for his food, the person doesn't bring it on time. How does he handle that? How does he handle drivers, whether it's a public driver, whether it's his own driver? How does he handle people who help him, maybe domestic staff, whether in his parents' house or in his own house, or or in a shop? He goes to a shop and the sales girl is there. How does he talk to her? The people who don't have any social standing in the society, how does he speak to them? Another is, how is his behavior indoors and how is his behavior outdoors? So there are some people there that when they're out there, they're like, "Kai, that guy is so calm. Hey, if I have that type, see how he comports himself. He's so handsome." But when he's in the house, he's nagging, he's quarreling, he's shouting, he's belittling you, he's speaking down on you, he's gaslighting you and all of that. So does his public behavior match his private behavior? Another is, how does he handle disappointments? Disappointments with life's issues, disappointments with even you. You did something that he didn't like. He was disappointed in you. How did he address it? How did he handle it? So these are things that she should be looking out for while she's in that courtship. Of course, there can be so much more, but this is quite a bit. And then what should she be doing during courtship or even before courtship? So young ladies, if you're listening and you're probably not dating to marry right now, or you're dating someone to marry, this is the time that you're going to build in your self-awareness. Self-awareness being that you're coming to understand who you are. What are your core values? What are the things that mean so much to you that you do not want to compromise on? These values are things that when you wake up in the morning, you find yourself doing them, find a name and ascribe to them. It's something that's a continuum. What are your non-negotiables? Something that you cannot absolutely tolerate. As in, even if he's giving you $1 million every day, for the fact that this particular thing, he does it, you're going to check out. So you need to sit with yourself and decide what is your non-negotiable. What are your desires for yourself as a woman? What do you want to see for your life? What are your expectations from life? What are the things that trigger you? What are the things that upset you? Where is that trigger coming from? Why is it triggering you? You know, so generally just growth. So building self-awareness is you just growing into yourself and knowing more about yourself. Another thing you should do is work on your finances, because going into a relationship is better you're going in there as a contributor instead of a dependent, because lack of money for women end up putting a lot of women in that space of being abused because they're depending solely on the man. And so you can't even move, because if you leave now, what next? How do I survive? He's doing everything. But when you have your own source of income, you don't need to be a millionaire in dollars. Being able to take care of your basic needs and some will give you that confidence to choose with conviction and clarity, because you know that you're not going there hungry. And if push comes to shove, you can chip in here and there, right? Another she should be doing is working on her communication skills, in short, soft skills, teamwork, collaboration, leadership. In as much as the man is the head of the home and he's a leader, you are also a leader in your own right, because you're first of all leading yourself. Waking up in the morning is leadership. Getting up and writing content and putting out there is leadership. Having your bath and wearing clean clothes is leadership. You're leading yourself, and such you're going to be leading in that home. You, in the domestic area, he might not be so good in it. You're going to be leading there. The children's homework and the stuff, you're going to be leading there. So everybody has a sense of leadership. So you need to learn that. You need to learn teamwork, because going in there, it's not just him that's going to do everything. You have to also defer to him. He's supposed to defer to you, so people can work together as a team. Another thing she should be doing at this point in time is building self-sufficiency. Self-sufficiency in how she takes care of herself, her hygiene. Self-sufficiency in being able to cook, being able to clean, being able to wash. And if you can't do them, at least knowing where the laundry is to go and take it there, and sufficient with yourself enough to go there and pick it up when it's done and not forgetting it, right? So having that self-sufficiency around doing general life skills that makes you useful to yourself and other people. And another thing is prioritizing your mental health and your physical health, meaning that start observing what are the things you watch the most, because that's the things that we watch and read are our mental diet, and the things that we eat through our mouth are our physical diet, right? So you need to exercise, you need to drink water, you need to eat healthily, you need to do some kind of meditation, stillness, walk in nature, bring your mind down, because you need to enter that marriage as a whole individual, someone that is complete. You're not going into marriage for your husband to complete you. You are complete in yourself. So you go in there by God's grace, you meet another complete human. So both of you as whole individuals are going to go in there and churn out whole children. Okay? So yeah. So you going in, ladies listening, you're not going in there to be a burden. You're going there to be a helper, a contributor, and to more or less help catalyze the marriage into greater heights. So yeah, I hope I did justice to that question. I felt I did.
Ma, you did. Like, that was so profound. Like, I was literally looking at you, and then I was trying to see maybe you were with a textbook or something, because you were just dishing out wisdom, and I really, really learned a lot. In fact, my brain at a point was just like, wow. Thank you so much, Ma. Okay, so one of the things she made mention of is that you should know yourself, self-awareness. So as a lady, it is not enough for you to just know a little bit about yourself. You have to know everything about yourself. And again, you have to understand what your purpose is. Okay, so what do you want to do? Know what you want. Not just what you think. What do you know? What do you want to do? because it is when you know what to do that you have a vision, that the person that you're going to end, that you the person you want to marry, that will be able to support it. If you don't have a vision, there is no how that person will be able to do anything to it. In fact, as a lady, you will be the one dragging the person you want to end up with. So you have to
Behind.
know yourself. Yeah, so you have to know yourself as a lady. And she made mention of values. Like your values has to align. There is nothing like, oh, you believe in something. Let's say, oh, you have probably something that has to do with morals, because morality is subjective, it is not objective. So the subjective basis of your morality, it has to align with the person you're ending up with. If it doesn't align, you will keep on having you keep up having
Conflicts.
crashes and a conflict and a lot of things. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, ma. Okay,
You're
so
welcome.
over, over the years, I've seen a lot of successful women, career women, very educated women. In fact, they control a lot of things, and for reasons best known to them, and which baffles me a lot, they stay in abusive marriages. And at the end of the day, I find myself surprised, because I'll be like, "Ah, this person has anything." So, and what could be the problem? And at times, most times sef, the man that is even abusing them, they are even the one feeding the man and taking care of the man. So that thing, it baffles me a lot. So my question is, why do some women, career driven women, still find themselves in abusive marriages? Where does the breakdown happen in the partner selection process?
Okay. Okay, this is deep. Thank you for that, and I totally understand you. First of all, we can't really blame them. When we're able to understand how they got there, it gives you a better sense of understanding. So when people find themselves in abusive relationships, let's start with even the why before reasons why they stay, right? When we are growing up, the first people that we learn love from is who? Let me just throw that one to you guys. Who do we learn love from?
Our
More
parents.
than,
Your parents,
especially
right?
more. Yes.
Yeah. So many times you realize that because the first set of people that we learn love from, they are the ones that give us the templates on how to love. Oftentimes, I will not be able to have a percentage, but at least up to 90 and above percentage. Children who grew up in home where they were unhealthy, where there's a lot of conflicts, a lot of trauma, and certain behaviors tend to find themselves in this relationship. Because at a young age, from maybe 0, or let's say 1, 2 to 7, that window, your brain is developing very fast and it's absorbing everything around you. And it begins to form how your nervous system reacts towards love. And so a career driven woman has gone to school, she has gotten the degrees, she knows how to read her spreadsheets and get clients and sell. But her nervous system, when it comes to emulating love, defaults to her 5-year-old self of how love was shown in her home. So she feels familiar and comfortable where there's abuse without understanding why. Her intelligent mind tells her, what am I doing here? This is crazy. But she still can't find the power to leave because this is all she has known. There are parents who beat their children and tell them, I'm beating you because I love you. If a man beats that woman, what do you think she will think? What will she think? I'm asking. If a parent beats a child and tells them, I'm beating you, I'm correcting you because I love you, you must be corrected, you must be right. And then she meets this man who beats her and tells her, in fact, before the man even tells her that he loves her, she would automatically say, oh, it's because of the love he has for me. That's why he's doing this. And you out there, standing from the outside looking in, you're calling her names. Which kind of woman? If I had that kind of money, I would never even, but you have no clue how she understands love. So the nervous system has its own way in which it adapts to understanding that. And so all these things that you people are talking about, yes, she has heard though, but she just doesn't, she can't really make that move. And sometimes you might even say, okay, what of those who grew up in homes where their parents were loving and all of that? Let's say she now got her first boyfriend. Because of how loving her parents were, she's grown up with the mentality of trust. She's open to believing that if my parents are like this, then it means that that's how the world is. So it means anybody who comes to me, the person comes with a pure heart. And unfortunately for you, you now met a guy who has been through all the trauma in this world and back, and he introduces love to you in a different way. And you're trying to say no. But of course, these ones, they come in because they've seen say you be a jebota, to sabi much. So they come in with that sweet, sweet words, love bombing, they grab you in, and then the default setting of the abuse takes over. And you're trying to, the memory of the sweet times are dragging you. The abuse is dragging you. You don't really know. And he'll be telling you that thing that your parents was. My parents didn't used to like. Say your parents, that one, they were just pretending till they're fighting in the room. You used to know. And then maybe that relationship continues 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Her nervous system now becomes rewired towards this kind of loving. And then going forward, she now starts choosing those kind of person because that was her first boyfriend. Imagine in your early teens of 17, 18, you date one guy that behaves like that for 3, 4, 5 years. You're immersed in it consistently. And we do know in personal development, anything that you immerse yourself in consistently, it rewires your brain, called neuroplasticity, right? It rewires your brain to believe that thing because you're so into it. So that's what happens in that case. So most times it's because of the exposure that they've had from their early caregivers, could be their parents, their nannies, their children who their parents are not with them, right? They leave them with nannies, go to work 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. During the day, the nanny is doing them 10-10. And so because that is the adult figure in the house, even though they know it's not their relation, they feel that, okay, it is love that they're showing me, so let me succumb to that. So the whole cycle just keeps going on and on and on. So now why do they stay? Sometimes it's out of fear. Fear that if they leave, the person will threaten them or might even harm them. Another reason is in our society and in our churches, God hates divorce. The society will laugh at you. Recently, I've seen posts saying that on Facebook that when women leave, they cited some examples that when women leave their marriages, the men go and get married again and again, but the women end up remaining single, and they started citing some, celebrities. Seeing that alone, wouldn't that tell you that, if I leave now, that is how me too are also hang. If those ones are celebrity and nobody's marrying them, who am I? Another is, of course, your self-esteem. There is no way you can be in a relationship where you're being abused consistently that your self-esteem is not ground zero. And because it's ground zero, you now tell yourself, at least this one is even managing me. Upon that, I don't even have sense. And let me just be this one that even is tolerating me. If I go out there now, no man will see me. They will say, this mumu who wants to date this one. So your self-esteem is already trashed. So you don't even want to go anywhere. So you say, the devil you know is better than the angel you don't know. Something like that, right? Another, of course, is that they hope that the guy will change. Because at one point in their relationship, he was an amazing guy. He was buying her gifts, calling her, sending WhatsApp 5 minutes, putting her on his status, buying her suya, giving her this. So she's like, I know he can be a good person. So let me just hold on. It's just the devil at work. If I pray a little harder, if I hold strong, if I fast a little more, those days will come back. But that man is not going to admit that he has issues. He's not going to go into realize that what he's doing is a function of what he learned from his parents. And this one that, the one you mentioned, say ladies can actually be sponsoring the guy and still stay there. You don't know if her own mother was one who was a breadwinner, taking care of her husband, who was abusing her out of envy that she's even having the money to spend on them, but still stayed. And she's like, if my mother could do it, I can do it. And the mother now tells her, look, they endure marriage. See me and your father were together 35 years now. We don't know what the mental health of the mother is like. Nobody's asking those questions again because they're old people. But we, the younger generation, let me put myself in the younger generation. We, the younger generation, we've learned too much book. So now we are really very, we are very particular. We want to be sure that we're dotting all the I's and crossing every T's. Another thing is because of the emotional and time investments and even the financial investment, as you said. You spend 10 years with this guy, you'll be thinking, where do I want to start from? Where am I going to go from here? I have sunk in all my emotions. This is the only man I've ever loved who will even want me again. All these years, let me just push through. It's going to get better. And financial, if in the case that is the man that has the money, maybe he has not even allowed you to work. You went in with all your dreams and I'm going to open a big supermarket. They say, look at you, even Matt, you don't know how to do. Which supermarket do you want to? I better come and look after these children. How much is supermarket going to give you? 1 million a month. Take the 1 million. Then when you've upset him, he withdraws the 1 million from you. or he buys the food for just the children, so you two you cannot eat. All kinds of things. So that's another reason why she will stay, that at least she's seeing steady income. And of course, the children. You say, okay, at least for the children to be in a home where the father and mother are there. And another is a lack of awareness and a lack of a solid support, because people in these kind of relationships need healthy support system, financial support system, therapy, and all those places that somebody can go and lean back on. So yeah, these are more or less many of the reasons why these very brilliant people stay inside. So yeah, the breakdown, right? Where does it break down? So now, if you're somebody who's been in a relationship that is unhealthy, or you've been in a home, you grew up around unhealthy relationships, sure, you know that you'll not be able to spot red flags. You can't now, because you've been around red flags for 20 years. So a guy comes with red flags, you can't spot it. So you choose the person immediately. So that's where the partner selection begins to break down. And of course, if you don't have a healthy mental understanding of how a great relationship should be, areas under which you should assess a partner, knowing that you need to identify your own non-negotiables and all of that, understanding healthy love, etc., those two also tarnish your ability to select a partner that can give you the healthy love that you need, so that you don't fall into that state of abuse. Yeah, thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, ma. Thank you so much, ma. So there's this negative PR concerning marriage, and they say something like, if you don't suffer in marriage, if you don't suffer like extreme suffering, you cannot enjoy the sweetness. So they believe that the ingredients of a long lasting marriage is suffering. That even if the man is beating you, because I've heard a lot of negative PR like that. Because they say it in Yoruba, some I don't know how to really say it.
What you've
Well,
said
one
so
thing
far is understand.
yeah, so there's one thing I want to, that whoever is listening as a young lady, is prioritize yourself. You cannot satisfy the society. No matter what you do, they will always say, okay, if you choose to stay in that abusive marriage, they'll say, we are not wise. One of our celebrities who lost her lives, I'm not using this to mock her or the family, but it's just to educate, it's just
Awareness.
for education, awareness, is that when she lost her life as a result of domestic violence, people were saying something like, even the church that will say God hates divorce, they were saying something like, oh, she should have left now. And these same people are still the same people that will condemn single mothers. So prioritize your mental health, and don't have a low self-esteem. It is when you have a low self-esteem that you feel whoever is dating you in a relationship, or whoever marries you, is doing you a favor.
Yeah.
Nobody is doing you any favor by marrying you, because if you did not qualify, because they must have had their own qualities they want in a wife, and if they didn't see it in you as a lady, they would not have approached you. So definitely you're unique, and you are not, they are not doing you a favor. So that's all I have to say. And at this point, I would like to hand over to my fellow co-host, Miss Elizabeth.
Thank you so much, Mr. Noyem. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your time. Thank you for, I mean, we cannot thank you enough. We've really been able to benefit from your well of wisdom. We cannot overemphasize how impactful, insightful, and profound all that you have said has been. So, quickly, I have just two questions so we can round off in time. And I'll go straight to it. So, the first question is that I would like to ask that, I mean, you said a whole lot, so as my other co-host, and I'd like to say that when you talk directly to mothers, like if we're going to talk directly to mothers listening, like, can you explain why children suffer the most in abusive, or how they suffer the most in abusive marriages, and what would you say to a mother who is staying in that situation for the sake of our children? Because I know Ms. Noemi just mentioned now that, oh, prioritize yourself, prioritize your mental health. But I, for one, have been privileged to be around mothers or women that, because of their children, they have not even some not even one, not even two, sometimes have three children, you know, and then they are facing one or two, three things, abuse and all of that in their marriage, and then they are turned apart to say, okay, so does this rule still apply to them to say prioritize yourself, choose your mental health? How do they go about that situation when children are involved?
Okay, thank you so much for that. And I really, really feel for mothers that are going through that because it is a lot. You yourself are probably not even getting the attention that you need, and then the children are all, into that situation. So all of you are going through a lot, and a lot is going through all of you. So the thing is, how does it affect children? The children who are in abusive homes are currently learning how to love. So they're absorbing the things that their parents are doing, the father and the mother. They're learning firsthand on how a man should treat a woman. And as such, the sons are learning that that's how they're going to treat their wives. And the daughters are learning that they're supposed to stay and absorb it because that's how marriage works. So that's one of the ways it affects them. Number two, of course, it will have an effect on them in the society because you find out that, let's say in our schools today, you rarely find children who are speaking kindly to one another. They're consistently throwing negative words. They call it, I don't remember what they call it, and you have to clap back and all of that. That doesn't come from a child who has been immersed in love and kindness. It comes from a home where they're calling the child names, they're belittling the child's efforts, spanking them, not validating those children. So that is all they know. So they come into school and they do the same thing with other children around them. You can see children bullying others. It's a function of what they've seen back at home. They bring it back to school. You think they'll know better. They don't. They're children. Their brains are still forming. So yes, them being in that situation is affecting those children's mental health and all. Now, for women who are there, we do not know their peculiar situation. So we have to also understand that there are women who are depending solely on their husbands. There are women that even if they have a job, the money they're getting is so small that it's not enough to take care of 3 children plus themselves. They don't have anywhere to go. Their parents have told them, you've married, don't come back here. Even if you come back, you're going back to a house that was with all your 5 siblings remaining there. How do you cope with your children in that environment? So like at least they're with their father. But so in situations like that, mental health first is still important. You can still prioritize your mental health even though you're in the marriage by beginning to understand that this situation here is a problem. And not only is it a problem for you, it's a problem for the younger ones. Let's say for you now, you're an adult, anyhow, you're roughing it. But these children are absorbing it at a fast rate. So my advice to them would be, first of all, be aware that this situation is not right. The second thing is being able to learn the right way a marriage, a home should be. And let's say your husband goes out often to work and come back. During that time that he's out, sit down and start educating your children about the right way to love. Let's see if your teaching will be able to rewire them outside what your husband is doing. And if possible, as much as possible, to keep the conflict away from them. I don't know the kind, it's different in different homes. It could be shouting, it could be beating, it could be silent talking, it could be emotional abuse and manipulation and gaslighting. It comes in so many forms. For those who are financially capable, there are those who are financially capable that have not even waited to see what will happen and what will not happen. They've left with their children, gotten a place, gotten a job and everything. But these things mostly seem to happen where people are not financially okay, where they are so concerned about what people will say, where they are concerned about how will people see me. So this is not something that you can say I'm giving a one-size-fits-all, because every marriage, every family has their unique challenges. If you say, okay, tell the man to go and get professional help, such people don't even want, who are you to even speak? Who are you talking to? Professional guinea? So you now have to not start getting the necessary education. You need to be intentional about relearning what a healthy relationship should be like and start teaching your children what a healthy relationship should be like, so that they themselves can begin to see it from a different light. And even if they bring it up, say, mommy, but daddy does this. They said, well, what daddy does depends on age too, because all these things are age appropriate discussions, and a parent coach can throw more light on that, on what age, what do you say at certain age. A child between 2 and 5, you say, what your daddy does is not so right. Daddy, mommy said that what you do is not right. So it all depends on how old, how is that child able to understand you and know how to keep it to themselves, to the point that you're, gently and gradually training them. Change the things that you read, begin to work on yourself, begin to do your exercises, because exercises help. If you can't do exercises, play music and dance when it's out. That sweating, that dopamine helps to reset your mind. And of course, we'll not rule out prayer. We'll not rule out reading Bible, but you still have to do some educational work on yourself. Go on YouTube and learn things that you can do for yourself to help you, and how you can teach your children to be better. So not everybody is going to be able to leave. But you need to remember that those children are picking up a cycle that they're going to regurgitate in their homes going forward. They might forget it, but once they get into a relationship, it triggers it and it comes out again. And they say, what is it? He was a very quiet boy. Why is he now beating up his wife? Okay? So yeah, that's it.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much for that, Ma. I would also like to say that one of the important things from, like, I picked from what you said is for women. I mean, this is part of the reasons why we're having this podcast, why there are so many campaigns out there for women to stand up to. Nobody is saying they should contend with the men, right? But
Not
have
at all.
this sense of purpose such that you have something running for yourself,
Yeah.
because that is the one thing that in fact statistics have shown that hinders a lot of women from leaving, because they believe that Imoh-Ita, 3 children, where will I start from, how, what would they eat, and all of that, because you're totally dependent on the husband. So have something running for yourself, have something in your name, have a plan. You are not planning that you're going to have a divorce, right? But you are planning, not it gives you a sense of confidence, a sense of purpose, that you are doing something for yourself. So before
So
any
for the
man can
just
even come to start
yeah.
saying this and that, exactly, it just places you at some level of advantage. So have something running for yourself, so that women, in case situations like this occur, nobody prays for it to occur, but eventually it does, you have something to fall back to. You have something to start. You are not going to, the question of where am I starting from is not going to come to play. And then, of course, your children, so you are placing them at a safer space. Have a conversation with them if you are of age, just like you mentioned, talk to them, let them understand what is going on. Of course, not being
Yeah.
defensive, but they can see. One of the things that I also like to say is that children see these things. I mean, children from abusive homes, like you mentioned something very profound, ma'am, and you mentioned that how that they might not necessarily understand what it is. They are beholding it, they are seeing it. So, but
Sure.
sometimes years later, when they get to the act, that thing just triggers. It's like a rocket science just comes up, and they find themselves doing those things. Something that they might not necessarily have understood what was happening, but they just see themselves walking in that part. So those are part of the damages, those are part of the things that it comes out from children that are in abusive marriage. So thank you so much, ma, for that. So
Yeah.
the last question I'll have to ask is that, madam, we know that you've helped women love well and live a good life. So I would like you to leave a word for our listeners, and by explaining to them what is that one mindset shift that every single woman listening today needs to make right now to position herself for the kind of love that does not stress her, that she truly deserves.
Okay, thank you so much for that. So first of all, I want you to know that you are enough. You are enough. You are beautiful, amazing, just the way you are. And of course, we always upgrade, we always refine, there's always more to learn. And before you think of, will this guy love me? Ask yourself, are you ready for love? Who am I really? How do I show up? What exactly are my expectations? What can I do to make myself so much better, so much more attractive that I don't need to run after them? Right? They gravitate towards you because we are all like a big ball of magnets. Our thoughts, our beliefs, our actions, our mindset attracts to us what we think. They say we don't see the world as it is, we see the world as we are. How I see the world and how all of us see the world are different because of how we have the different things we've ingested in our minds, the thoughts that we've thought, the beliefs that we have about ourselves. So begin to work on putting yourself in that positive state of mind. Any friend that comes to you and tells you relationship is a scam, that is their own portion. Me, I'm going to be healthy, attractive, intelligent, smart, healthy, amazing, the kind of person that attracts the high flyers who are intelligent and down to earth and godly. See, good men, they are there. But you have to become that person who magnates them towards you. And it doesn't happen by you chasing. It happens by you being so self-confident, so assured in yourself, so knowledgeable of yourself, self-awareness, self-acceptance, self-love, and working on yourself to keep transforming. And this is not about you having high standards. Have standards, check them. Are these ones too high? Are these ones okay? what am I, what are the reality of the expectation? Because there are amazing people out there. And of course, depends on the environment you're in too. Travel. If you're single and you have the money, by all means, travel, meet different people, talk to different people, hear people's ideologies. And there's no how you won't have a great partner. So those are my parting words.
Wow, that is such a heavy parting word. Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much, man. We could go on and have days, conferences talking about
I
the importance of
know.
self awareness, because I believe
Yeah,
that that's where every of these things
everything
fall out
lies.
from. Once you know who you are, what you want. There's a saying that I always tell
Mm,
myself that I anyone that treats me in a certain way is because I allowed it.
mm-hmm,
You will not receive a treatment more than or less than what you have allowed, or
mm-hmm,
what's the expectations that you have shown the person that you have. So if
mm-hmm,
you're entering a relationship with the mindset that, oh, for me to attract this kind of guy, even though, yeah, we want to attract high flyers, and you eventually attract one, and then you are showing him that, for me to have jammed this is my trophy, and you are
mm-hmm,
showing that your the self-confidence is depleting and all of that, he would
mm,
equally treat you that way. So once you
yeah,
know who you are, you know the values that you carry,
carry.
that would
Mm,
naturally interpret the way the people treat you. It would gravitate towards the people that respect and understand your values, and they will treat you equally. So for
yeah.
every lady out there, yes, there's still true love. Just like we have
Mm-hmm,
heard today, there's true love. There are
yes.
good guys. Yes, I was about to clock that when Madam Jojen said that. It's like, yeah, there are fantastic, amazing guys out there. It just depends
Mm-hmm,
on where you position yourself, the level of
mm-hmm,
exposure, the level of things that you do, the level of self awareness that you have,
mm-hmm,
knowing who you are, knowing what you want. Because that's
mm-hmm,
another thing that I've found in ladies. I've had the opportunity to also talk to a few ladies, and they tell them that, what do you want in a guy? uh, a guy that is God fearing,
mm-hmm,
that is good guy. Like, what are the core values that you are looking at? What are your red
mm-hmm,
flags, like we treated today? What are your green flags? What are the things that
mm-hmm,
you know that you can still compromise? What are the things that you know that, come what may, you cannot bend to this role? Have
mm-hmm,
those things clearly written out. You yourself understand it, digest it, and live with that reality. So now or later, once you do all of these things, check all of these boxes, you're going to get the true love that you truly deserve. So thank you so much again, Maya. It's been a wonderful ride. At this point, I'll just hand over back to Miriam to
all right.
conclude.
Thank you so much for a lot has been said from our amazing guest speaker, Mrs. Joji Imoh-Ita. Thank you so much for sparing time and for dishing out a lot. Like, I really appreciate your presence. You being able to be flexible on this episode, on this podcast. Thank you so very much. We are
You're
it's
welcome.
more than a million for us. It's more than a million. Thank you so very much. And to my amazing co-host, thank you so very much. Is it like girls, young women that are in this position that see themselves in this situation, but because we see it as a situation. And if we want to continue this conversation, I feel we would not even end it in an hard time because
Mm-hmm,
because definitely big one this topic, it was actually inspired by a woman that was speaking to me recently. I was surprised by what she was saying. I was like, and you still stayed in this marriage, you knew he was
mm-hmm,
beating you, and you are even pregnant, you don't even know if the pregnancy is still there or not, and you are still maintaining him. How? Why would you do such a thing? And I was like, okay, this topic can be my next episode on the Speak With Our podcast. Then I thought of who would be my guest. I was like, okay, let me check my. I think I saw I saw an incredible relationship clarity strategy. Although I've been seeing now, but it hasn't even come to my mind to even invite her. And this actually gave me the best time, the best moment to invite her. And I did not even know that she can do a lot like this on this episode. I'm so very thankful to meet
You're
you.
welcome.
Thank you so very much.
You
And I
are.
feel like the three women that I discussed this topic with, I asked one person, I was like, why do some women actually end up in abusive marriage? Let me just use this small minute, just give me this few minutes to just explain what they said. One actually said, you know that if a man is doing everything for you, what if he opens a shop for you and You know that whenever maybe you have a clash or argument, the man can easily close the shop. It would be like,
Mhm.
yes, I'm the I'm the one fending you. You don't have anything. But
Mhm.
what in some situation whereby the woman has a job? This is when I was
Mhm.
talking to a house help. She was telling me that, do you know that this, do you know what this woman is experiencing? And she's a beautiful woman, she's a beautiful lady. If you see her outside, you not even think of that kind of situation happening in her marriage, because she's very beautiful. She would not come out from her car. She'd just be talking to you from her car like this, and you will even be like, okay, I want to be like this person. How is this person reserved and all of that, not knowing that she's experiencing a lot. Our house help was telling us that, did we know that our man, her husband, do beat her whenever he's drunk or anything? And the funniest thing is that it is not even funny at all. The man will lock the 3-year-old child inside the room whenever he wants to
Mm.
beat him. So I was like, and you are saying all of
Wow.
these things. Why are you not choosing yourself, ladies, women? What are we really doing with our life? Do we even recognize our uniqueness? I feel like we are hurting ourselves more than what the man is doing to us. Yes, because you can see it, you can view it yourself, you can choose yourself. You have the moment all to yourself. Is it when the man will end your life? Yes, you want to consider your children. Yes, you want to consider the future. But please, let's choose ourselves first. Let's know what our uniqueness meant to us. So at this point, I will end the episode of why some women do end up in abusive marriage. I hope you'll be able to learn a lot on this episode. Thank you so very much, ma'am, Mrs. Jojin Imoh-Ita, and my amazing co-host, Elizabeth Mizanayemi. Thank you for coming. Thank you for staying with us. Thank you for sharing your knowledge with us. Bye for now.